Right, we are live. So I'm just going to do some quick checks to see if you can all hear and see me okay. So if you have joined me live tonight, please let me know in the comments if you can hear me okay. But bear with me just while I do some checks before I jump straight into the masterclass this evening. But anyone joining me live, let me know in the comments if you can hear me okay. And while we're doing that, let me know where you are from and what you're looking to get out of the masterclass this evening. So bear with me. Yep, so I'm seeing comments come through. Just going to check that we're all good. Yep, perfect, brilliant. Right, okay. So thank you everyone for joining me this evening. I know you guys have given up your precious evening to spend an hour or so with me to learn about the main topic is how to get out of retail and land your dream job with work-life balance without taking a pay cut or using job search websites. And that's what we're going to be talking about this evening. So let me know in the comments. Loads of you joining now from all over the world, which is fantastic. But yeah, do let me know if you're just joining, where you are in the world and what you want to get out of this evening's masterclass. One other quick admin question. Can you see my slides okay, everyone? I think they seem to be coming up okay on my phone. But I just want to check that as well. And hopefully you can all hear me okay as well. So we're 1 minute in. So let's not keep you any longer. Let's get cracking. So who is this for? So I don't want you guys joining a masterclass with me this evening and you are not the intended person for this masterclass. I don't want to waste any of your valuable time, and I'm sure you don't want to hear me go on for an hour if it's not relevant for you. So who is this masterclass for? It's for retail managers who are dissatisfied with their current career situation. It could be those that are just starting out on their retail escape journey, or it could be those that have attempted to escape retail before, but they've had no luck. So hopefully you are one of those people. And as I've already asked, as everyone's kind of joining in and jumping on live, do let me know in the comments where you are and what you want to get from today's masterclass. If you are watching me on LinkedIn, so this is streaming live in a couple of places. If you're watching this live on LinkedIn and you haven't actually registered on my website, then if you go to retailescapeproject.com/giveaway, that will give you a chance to be opted in for a giveaway that I do following the masterclass for anyone that has opted in. And if you do opt in, I'm not going to send you some spammy stuff. You will also get a retail escape guide. So basically I lay out everything in this masterclass also in a guide that will walk you through it in a more text version. And you will also receive a replay video from this evening as well. And you will also be entered in with a chance to the giveaway that I do, where I give away a few of my courses for those that have joined live. So that is retailescapeproject.com/giveaway. So if you are on LinkedIn and you didn't register through my masterclass website, do make sure you head over there and put your details in, and that will give you a chance to win a few of my courses that I'll send out in email later on this evening. So what are you going to learn today? What is the whole point of this masterclass? What am I aiming to achieve and equip you with from this evening? So ultimately, I'm going to be talking through why applying online doesn't work for a retail manager looking to change careers. So a lot of you on this live, let me know how many of you mainly use job search websites or applying online as your main source of looking for jobs. So let me know, but I'm going to be talking you through why that doesn't work. And then I'm going to be walking you through what it takes to actually stand out and secure a job offer in another industry, even if you're up against people with more specific industry experience. And Not only that, you're going to leave today with an actionable job search strategy. So this isn't going to be one of those masterclasses, one of these webinars that you join and it's all fluffy stuff that doesn't really give you anything to go away with. You are going to leave with a step-by-step plan this evening, or where I say this evening, wherever you are in the world right now, it might not be this evening, but you're going to leave with an actionable plan where you can go away and start securing jobs in other industries. And I'm going to be giving you that today. And so many people join these masterclasses, and I get emails days and weeks after where they've put everything into practice and have secured job opportunities. And I'll be walking you that through. And at the end, if you feel that you need further support, then I'm going to be walking you through how I can help you further at the end as well. So I'm going to hide myself a little bit because I'm always end up being a little bit too big. So let me put myself in the top corner. Bear with me a second. Let's get myself out of the way. That doesn't matter. Right, so in terms of who I am, so a lot of you might not be in my world. Some of you might have not been around my content for long. You might have just started following me. You might not have a single clue who I am. So let me talk you through a little bit about me. So I'm Tom Harris. I used to work in retail myself. When I worked in retail, again, I probably followed a story that maybe many of you have followed in the past. It'd be good to know whether or not this kind of story resonated with you. So when I left school, I had no idea what I wanted to do. So what I did instead is I decided to get a job in my local supermarket while I figured out what I wanted to do with my life. I'd gone into education and I had just no idea at all. And, I was earning a bit of money and I had some opportunities to progress up the chain in my local supermarket. And 10 years later, I'd made a very long career out of working in retail. So I'd worked my way up to store manager and I'd done various regional roles as well. So retail was the only job I'd ever done straight out of school. And how many of you are in that situation? How many of you have only ever worked in retail? Maybe again, it was one of those things you were going to do to figure out as a stopgap to figure out what you wanted to do with your life. And then you find yourself as a retail manager 10, 20 years later. So I'm seeing a lot of people that have done even longer stints than I did in retail as well. And although I very much enjoyed my retail career, so you won't hear me knocking retail. I wouldn't be where I am today without my retail career behind me. Who I was when I started in retail and when I enjoyed retail the most wasn't the person I was 10 years down the line. So when I started in retail, I didn't have many commitments. I didn't have many bills. My life was more about enjoying my time, going out at weekends, spending time with my friends. But 10 years later, things have changed. I had more commitments. Time with my family and friends was more important to me. Those long unsociable hours within retail no longer fitted in with what was important to me. Money wasn't as important to me. Actually, time and getting to enjoy my life was more important than where I was 10 years prior. So what had happened, and you may have found this happen yourself, is over a period of time, you change. We all change. Things are different over a space of time. Our lives are completely different to when we started in retail. But one thing that hadn't changed was retail. Retail was still retail. And that's when I started to feel dissatisfied. And on top of that, there was probably a few things happening in retail. So we're talking about 2018 at this point in time. Things were happening around me that was just really adding to the matter. Things like job satisfaction. There were so many cuts. I was a store manager at times and I was having to jump on checkouts. And I was just like, this isn't productive use of my skills, my time, and I'm not able to serve my team appropriately when there are so many demands that I can't meet. It was unreasonable expectations. So it was having an impact on my job satisfaction. It was having obviously an impact on my work-life balance because of the amount of hours, the fact that I was expected to be contactable 24/7 all the time. It was just frustrating. So I decided it was time to change careers and look for something different. I had no idea what that was going to be, but I wanted to do something about my situation. And years passed, and I had still no idea what I wanted to do. Every single time I had a bad week at work, I'd jump on a job search website, maybe apply for a few jobs and hear nothing back from them. Now, fortunately, uh, I came across a redundancy situation in the company I was working for. Now, you might be thinking, okay, so you was made redundant, so you didn't really escape retail. Let me tell you this, it was very easy for me to jump straight back into retail, but I wanted to use this opportunity to change careers. So, although I thought it would be very easy to change careers, definitely when I didn't, I was being made redundant, it was not as easy as I thought. So I hit the job search market and I applied for anything that looked interesting outside of retail. And I had no success. I had no replies to any of the jobs that I was applying for. But I was determined to find a way. Now I'm going to kind of cut to the good bit right here because the whole masterclass is talking you through what I learned and what you guys can do to actually start securing interviews for the jobs you want. But I was determined to find a way, but it took me 6 months. So at this point I had no job. So let me tell you, it's much easier to find a job when you've already got a job. So this is probably the worst situation you can be in when you're looking to change careers. And I went through 6 months of painful trial and error trying to figure out what I needed to do to secure a job. So I was being rejected time and time again. And I went through everything. I knew there must have been a way to secure jobs because I've seen loads of people have changed careers, and you've probably seen people around you or you've seen me post things. So it is possible, but I just didn't know what it took at the time. And I did figure it out. And I successfully started securing job offers by using a completely different approach to applying online. I received several job offers for companies outside of retail, and I eventually settled on an area manager for a not-for-profit company here in the UK, providing employability services to people. And the great thing about that is, again, not to diminish retail, that I was helping change people's lives as opposed to putting baked beans on shelves as I kind of look at it now. It was a Monday to Friday job, 9 to 5. I had Christmases off. I didn't have to take a pay cut to move into it either. And ultimately, I had that job satisfaction. 2 years later, I'd surpassed my retail salary. And how I came about doing what I'm doing now is people I knew, people that maybe had been made redundant at the same time as me, started to ask me, Tom, how did you go about doing it? How did you land that job? You didn't know anyone at that company, and how did you go and secure those jobs? How was you getting job offers? So people started asking me, and I started just walking them through. Some of them were friends, some of them were ex-colleagues, and I started talking them through what I did. And one by one, they started to escape retail and secure jobs as well. And I'd like to say it was all mapped out, becoming a retail escape specialist, but I fell into it. It was just something that I'd figured out for myself. I started showing people how to do it themselves. And a few years down the line, it become kind of my niche and something I was helping people do. So in terms of since I've been a retail escape specialist, so it's been about 5 years now, time has completely flown. And I've helped people secure jobs at numerous companies, as you can see on here. I've picked some of the big brand names, but you'll be well aware if you read a lot of my content. I'm also a big fan of smaller and medium-sized companies, but I put them on here because you might know these companies. There's loads of US companies as well I've helped people into, but a lot of people on this call tonight are from the UK, which is my main audience. But I've also helped people from across the world. But there's a lot of people from the States as well. And other companies you can't put in is also like local authorities as well, because they're all different depending on where you are in the UK or where you are in the world and your kind of local states and so forth. So loads and loads of other companies that I've helped people secure jobs at, but there's some notable ones that you may be aware of. So what did I learn in those 6 months? So like I said, I went through that 6 months of painful trial and error. But what did I learn? So ultimately, what we're taught is wrong. So when I hit the job market, I thought I knew what I had to do. I thought that I had to go out there, get my CV, or I'm going to use the word CV quite a lot, but I know we've got a lot of people from all over the world on the call tonight, but it's a resume in a lot of other countries, and particularly the US. But I was always taught you go get your CV updated and you go and then apply for jobs. And that's it. That's all I'd ever been taught. That's how I secured my retail job. And that's what I thought you had to do. But little did I know that is not what you should be doing if you're looking to change careers. And I'm just going to fiddle around. I don't know why it's coming up, but I'm just going to fiddle around with my screen quickly. Bear with me. Do it on now. We'll do it that way. It's probably a bit easier because everything's getting in the way of my big head. So in terms of why it doesn't work, why does applying online not work? So let's look at there right now. We've got one vacancy that you might be interested in, and that one vacancy in today's world. So the great thing about the digital age is we've got probably about 100 people on the call today, and we've probably got about 400 people registered. It is very easy to access anything into today's digital world. And that applies to the job market as well. So it's a lot easier to spot vacancies because you can set up alerts and see them. So when there is a vacancy out there, those vacancies will get anywhere between 50 to 100, maybe even 200 applicants. And as a result of that, the hiring managers aren't going to go through that many applicants. There just isn't the time. If you've been a hiring manager yourself, do you have time to go through that many applicants? So some will get shortlisted, and there's various different techniques that employers deploy in order to shorten that candidate list down to potentially maybe 10, where they're going to sift through and read those CVs. An actual physical human is going to pick up that CV that's been put through in that application and read it. And obviously from an interview, are you going to interview 10 people? Maybe, but a lot of companies prefer to maybe interview half of that. So out of those 100 applicants, we've whittled it down to 10. There's going to be 5 interviews scheduled, and ultimately there's only going to be 1 job offer. So when you're applying online, you actually have a less than 1% chance of securing a job online, because although I've just done rough numbers in terms of 100 applicants, those 100 applicants aren't treated all the same. You've got people that have got direct industry experience. You've got people that haven't got any industry experience at all. So although you might go, oh, it's a 1 in 100 chance of securing a job if you apply online, it's much less than that, because there's going to be some applicants that are naturally much stronger just because of maybe some direct experience that they've got. So who's with me at the moment? Who kind of can see how that, how maybe you've not been successful in the past because actually the odds are very much stacked against you. So who's seen these statistics before? Who's aware of them? So let me know in the comments. So why don't traditional methods don't work? So why does applying online don't work? You'll hear me use the term traditional job search methods quite a bit. It's what we're taught to use. It's like I say, it's the getting CV made up. It's hitting the job search websites. Why do they not work? So the first thing, as I've already mentioned, is most CVs don't get read by an actual person. There's applicant tracking software that is actually going to be sifting through all the CV applications that have been made, all the CVs, and keyword checking it. Are you a good fit for that job? And if you're not particularly great at doing your CV, or you haven't spent time tailoring it, it might not make a good match. Ultimately, I guarantee a lot of you on the call might be spending a lot of time tailoring your CVs as well, going, right, I'm gonna tailor it to the job role because that's what I'm also told I should be doing. But the problem is you don't know what the hiring manager's looking for or what that system's set up to actually find. So although you are tailoring your CVs, you might not actually be tailoring it to the right stuff because you don't know specifically what that hiring manager is looking for. So they might not get read by a real person, or they might get read by a kind of entry-level recruitment person within that company that, again, isn't the person making the decision. They're just going, right, let's just see, is this candidate a rough match? Yes, and filtering it down even before the hiring manager gets a chance to look at it. Secondly, your CV. This is probably the one that frustrates me the most. We're all told to create a CV, But why? Why do we follow that? It's almost like because we've always been told a CV is something we should do. That's by default something we have to set up. It's like the job market has been trained to always rely on a CV, and then kind of cover letters were introduced when a CV could only go so far. But we're entering a world where those are outdated processes. We need to move beyond CVs and cover letters and start putting in something else that can help show actually the value that we want to add. So what I'm getting at here is our CVs and even our cover letters are very one-dimensional. They're very outdated. How can you really see a value of maybe a retail manager applying for a job in another industry? How can you really get that across on a CV? You could do a good job of it, but again, it's probably still not enough. How can you really get across exactly why you're the perfect candidate for that job on something that we're taught to put on chronological order and list out all the stuff we've done? You're trying to show that why you're not, you could say you're a store manager, you're trying to show why you're perfect for maybe their operations manager in a different industry. But the first thing that you put on your CV is, I'm a store manager. It's just not helpful. And then probably the other thing is how many of you have tried to explain to people, maybe you've got friends, family that don't work in retail. How many of you tried to explain to them what it's actually like working in retail? You only know retail if you've worked in it, don't you? If you've never worked in it, people don't really get it. I put a post up that's got a lot of comments recently about why hiring managers should take retail managers seriously. And the amount of people that don't work in retail commented on it going, oh, that's not true. Why would I take retail managers? Again, unless you've worked in retail, you don't really get the scale of the roles that retail managers deal with and what they deal with on a daily basis and the amount of hats that they wear and the amount of skills that they get. You only know that if you truly work in retail. So if we struggle to explain to our friends and family what it's like working in retail, try and get it across in a boring traditional one-dimensional CV or resume. So you probably get the point. CVs don't work. Resumes don't work when you're looking to change careers. And ultimately, again, probably a biggest barrier I find with retail managers is the salary aspect. I can't secure the salary I've got in retail in another industry. Maybe you've applied for jobs and been rejected, and that you've got that belief because of that, or maybe you just don't think you could secure those kind of salaries. But in terms of if you were hiring for a job that paid you, again, bear in mind if you're from different parts of the world, these are going to be different currencies. But let's pretend you're on a 60k a year job in the UK. Are you really going to find the candidate you want 60k a year job from a one-click applied application on a job search website, complete faceless unknown? You go, yeah, I'm gonna part with £60,000 a year for that person because they've come through a job search website. It boggles me why we think this is probably the ideal way we apply for jobs, when actually if I was put in the hiring manager's shoes, I probably wouldn't expect to be parting with some good salaries. And this probably applies for any salary when you're getting into the 30k plus. Is why would you part with that kind of money because someone's come one-click apply for a job search website? So again, we're kind of taught to use methods that hiring managers probably don't even deem as their preferred way of hiring. And then in terms of that risk as well, so where companies are hiring for salaries that probably pay the retail salaries that we're on, a lot of those jobs don't make it online for that reason. Why list a job when you're not probably planning on finding that candidate on a job search website in the first place? So a lot of these senior vacancies never make it online. In fact, 80% of senior vacancies never make it online because they're not looking for their ideal candidate on a job search website. That's not where they're expecting to find them. They need to know a bit more insight into that candidate. So they're not going to put the job on. So when you're all competing for jobs online, you're only competing for 20% of what's out there. So you probably get the point. I don't like traditional job search methods. I don't like, if anyone ever messaged me, I say, do not apply online. It doesn't work. Stop wasting your time. And don't come to me about getting your CV tailored up, because again, it's more a formality than something that's actually going to land you a career change. So who's with me at the moment? Who gets what I'm getting across here in terms of they don't work? And always up for some comments if you think otherwise, but you probably get the point because it's probably not worked for you to this point anyway. So what does work? So I've gone on, probably depressed you all in terms of it doesn't work, and you're probably thinking, right, well, surely there is a way that does work that is coming this way, and you would be right. So in terms of if traditional methods don't work, what works instead? So almost 50% of hires come from something only 7% of people do. So just to keep this simple, because I like simple maths or I'll completely blow my mind, if we use the example on the earlier slide that I had where we had 100 applicants applying for one single job, what are 7 of those 100 people doing that the 93 people aren't? And that's what I'm going to be talking you through now. What are they doing differently? And you've probably heard this, but I'm going to really talk you through why this works and how you can make this work for you as a retail manager. Being referred is the best way to secure a job. And I'm going to don't let any negative beliefs about referrals and all of this get stick with me. I'm going to walk you through this. So referrals make up 50% of the hires. And in fact, most people being referred will receive an interview for a job. So they'll at least be given a chance. Yet only 7% of people are being referred in the first place, whereas the other 93% of people are applying online and following the crowd. And when I say applying online, I mean pretty much everything that most people follow. Going to job search websites, applying for jobs on social media, applying direct to the company's website, maybe applying for a recruitment agency online. But 7% of people, those that are being referred, that I said that is the best way, they're the people that are focusing on building connections, they're getting advocates at these companies, and they are getting hired. They're people securing 50% of the offers. And I'm going to walk you through, firstly, how you do that without having an existing network. I didn't have a network in other companies. We're not talking about becoming best friends with hiring managers either. It's much more simpler than that. And I'm going to be walking you through that in more detail. So let's have a look in a little bit more detail. Oh, too far ahead. If you want to succeed in the job market, at the moment, you guys on this call are competing with, say, 100 people for one vacancy. Wouldn't you much rather be one of those 7 people being referred so you completely take those odds completely playing a different game? So if you've got 100 people all applying for one job, but you're going to be the person being referred, you're now only competing with 7 people instead of 100 people. You've completely changed the odds. You've changed the game. You're no longer that less than 1% chance of landing a job. You've now put yourself in a position where there could be a 50% chance of landing a job offer, but maybe even an 80% chance of actually securing an interview. And I'm going to walk you through this evening how you can be those 7 people, how you can stand yourself out from the crowd. And then I'm going to talk you through not only how you can be one of those 7 people, but how can you be the best one of those 7 people so you actually secure the job offer. So we're going to completely change the game. So you're no longer fighting these unachievable statistics. So who's with me? Who's looking forward to being one of those 7 people, but actually learning how to stand out from those 7 people? And I can guarantee those 7 people, there'll be people with more industry experience, but I'm going to talk you how you stand out from those people. So who's excited? Who's excited to hear about what is to come? So what are some of the benefits of being referred as well? Probably just before we move on. So first thing, being referred helps you bypass the traditional methods that we know work. So what's the point of you guys leaving this call and going back to the methods that don't work? What you're going to be learning today is how you can do something different, which does yield results. So not only does it give you the upper hand, it helps you bypass the traditional methods, and it changes the odds of you securing a job. So instead of it being less than 1%, which it probably feels like it right now, you're going to have more likely a 50% chance of securing a job. I've already mentioned but you're going to have more opportunities available to you. You're only seeing 20% of the senior vacancies out there right now, but you're going to have access to jobs because once you start getting that inside information, there's going to be jobs open themselves up to you that you didn't even know existed, never made it onto a job search website. Probably the biggest one is that a lot of people say, I just can't secure the salary that I want outside of retail. When you use this approach, this is how people are securing salaries outside of retail that match their salary or exceed their retail salary. No one is going to give someone a job coming in completely cold. You are not going to give someone that's got a job search website a 60K a year job. Whereas actually, when you start putting a face to the name, start doing a few things a bit differently, when you stand out from the crowd, you're more likely going to part with that money because someone's gone above and beyond. They've done more. You've got 100 people, but this one person's gone above and beyond and done things a bit differently. You're more likely going to give them the salary that they're asking for. So that's another reason why you want to be getting referred. And ultimately, you're all on this call because you want to change your career situation. And it hasn't worked for you so far in terms of what you're doing. So the end result is you do something different. And there is a real chance that you are going to secure the job that you want. And that whole history of being rejected for jobs that you have wanted, you'll put it behind you. You'll move on, and you will see that there is a life after retail. So who do hiring managers hire? So I've spoken about how you want to be that person standing out from those 7 people. But let's put ourselves in the hiring manager's shoes for a second in terms of figuring out how do we appeal to that hiring manager? So probably the first one that I'd probably say is, in terms of a hiring manager, is a hiring manager going to give the job to the person that matches every single criteria on the job description? Because I hear it all the time. How many of you have jumped on a job description, you started reading it, and you're like, I really like the sound of this job. This sounds like a job that I really want. And you get to the bottom, it says you need XYZ qualification or XYZ experience in this industry. And you're like, okay, well, I haven't got that. I'll move on. How many of you have done that before? How many of you not even applied for a job because it said something like that? But let me tell you this. If a lot of you have been hiring managers, if you're a retail manager, you've probably done some hiring yourself over the years. Do you sit in that interview when you're hiring for someone, put out the job description and go, yep, they met that, they met that, they met that, they met that? I never even pulled out a job description. I don't think I ever had a printed job description out for a person I was ever interviewing for. I always had in my mind the things that I wanted the candidate to display. I always had a little checklist. I had about 4 things in my mind that I want them to show me. And if they had those things, that they'd be the person probably standing out to me. And that's what I'm going to show you how to do. How do you it's not about matching the job description. It's about matching what the hiring manager is looking for. And when you figure out those things, when you learn those things, that's how you stand out from the crowd, not just making 100 applications to a job. We're going to find out what are those 3 or 4 things the hiring manager's looking for in an ideal candidate, because that's the only way you're going to actually truly secure an interview, by giving them what they want. And that leads me on to the most qualified person gets the job. That is never the case. Firstly, that if when a company's recruiting for a position, they always put on the job list, and obviously they're hiring for the best possible candidate. But if that person exists, they'd already be doing the job. You don't just go, oh yeah, there was a ready-made store manager that wasn't a store manager, and we're going to put them into that role. Yeah, there isn't a ready-made store manager. You don't. When you were a store manager, I'm using it as an example, but whatever management role you are in retail, you was never 100% ready for that role, were you? Yeah. When I became a store manager, I was about 80% ready for that job in the first place. I wasn't 100% ready store manager, and I got the job. And we always think that we have to be, have all the criteria, have all the qualifications, and that person is the person that always gets the job. It's not. There's a mixture of other things. People want to hire people that want the job, that people that are going to, do a good job. It's not all about actually all the qualifications that person's got. There's other ways. If I had someone sat in front of me and they were really motivated and they've really gone to a lot of effort and they've stood out from the crowd, and I had someone that was a bit boring, mundane, but ticked all the boxes, I'd give it to the motivated person. You can't teach motivation. You can't teach someone thinking outside the box, which obviously, the great thing is a lot of retail managers have all these really desirable skills, but just because someone's got industry experience doesn't mean they'll be a perfect fit. You can teach that. I know going into a not-for-profit here in the UK, it didn't take me long to pick up that industry, but I had all the skills that the hiring manager wanted. and I showed interest, I showed that I really wanted the job, that was enough to completely overweigh the lack of specific industry experience. And ultimately, hiring managers aren't looking for someone that meets job descriptions, they're looking for someone to solve a problem. Every hiring manager, when they're recruiting, there's something maybe keeping them up at night, something they need, a solution that they're looking to solve. They've got a problem, and which is why they're hiring. They're hiring a person. They're hiring a solution to a problem. So it's not all about job descriptions and criteria. And I've already mentioned probably enough is motivation wins every time. A hiring manager would rather hire someone that's the most motivated candidate than someone that is just following the crowd and not just got some industry experience, but they don't really seem fussed. And we've probably all had tons of people walk into an interview thinking they're going to ace it because they've got that industry experience, but it doesn't mean that they're going to secure it. So probably some things you're probably thinking right now. I don't know what I want to do, let alone find a referral. So I'm looking to explore a career outside of retail, but I have no idea what I want to do. So how you can tell me about getting referred, but what do I do? So don't worry, I'm going to talk you through some quick ways to start generating realistic career ideas outside of retail, if that's the stage you're stuck in. So you're going to get that in a minute. You might be thinking, I don't know people in other companies. Why would a complete stranger refer me? And I'm going to be walking you through exactly how you can start turning complete strangers into people that will advocate you for roles and potentially refer you. And then probably another one that people struggle with most is, this is great, but how do I get other industries to take my retail experience seriously? I could be referred into it, but how do I get them to take my experience seriously? And I'm going to show you how to package up your retail experience so hiring managers will be begging to hire you. So we'll be covering all of that. So if those are objections running through your head, they won't be there for much longer. So who's excited to get started? So let's jump straight into the main content of this masterclass. So this is what you're going to be learning. So secret one, how to identify your dream companies that will provide you with a career that you desire. And we're going to call these target companies. So we're going to come up with some target companies. Then secret two, how to identify network with career influencers at your target companies in order to secure a referral. And we're going to do it without feeling sleazy. We're going to do it without that awkward networking feeling. I'm going to make it really easy for you. And then finally, how to create a retail value proposition that makes you irresistible to non-traditional industries by highlighting your transferable retail value. We're going to put it on a plate for them. We're going to throw away the rubbish CV, and I'm going to show you how to do something better. So who's ready to learn these 3 secrets this evening? So identifying your target companies. So this is probably one of my favorite techniques for generating career ideas. So when I first hit the job search started hitting job search websites, I used to stick in the search bar, manager, store manager, and I'll just look at whatever jobs come up. And obviously, probably a lot of retail jobs came up at the time. And this is probably publicized a little bit more now. So some of you might have come across this, but you don't have to put in job titles into job search websites. It is effectively, I hate job search websites, as you can already tell, but it is good for generating ideas. And it is very good at doing almost like market research into career ideas that you could do. So instead of defining yourself by your job title, which you are not defined about, define yourself by the skills that you've developed, skills that you enjoy using. So instead of putting in manager, why don't you put in leadership? So just an example on here. So in the what, put in some skills, put in customer service, put in leadership, whatever you enjoy using most in your day job. And even better, you can take it to the next level. So a lot of people say to me, Tom, I can't find jobs that match the salary I want. Well, put the salary in the search bar as well. So like leadership, I've got leadership 60,000 on here. You might say, but Tom, I want Monday to Friday. We'll put leadership Monday to Friday on here. And what it will do is it will find jobs that match that criteria, where those words appear in the job description most prevalent. And the great thing is this helps you think outside the box. Instead of defining yourself by your job title, He's going to help you blast open the doors and start finding ideas that you never thought of. If your main skill, if you are a leader and you're fantastic at leading people, and you are looking for job descriptions where leadership is the main key word, why would you not be a good fit for that job? If you're leading retail teams, you can lead any team in any company. Same with customer service. If you love delivering customer service and you love providing that service, or you love creating high performing teams that deliver great customer service, you can do that in any company. So if you're finding a job that needs a customer service specialist, then you're finding ideas that match you. And that's the mistake people make, is they go out there and try and make themselves fit the jobs. Why don't you bring the jobs that fit you to you by using it based on a keyword? So who's come across that approach? Let me know in the comments. Who's ever done that? Who's probably jumping onto a job search website right now and start typing in keywords instead of job titles to start generating ideas? Some other things I would do as well is, and I said this already when I was talking about companies I've helped people into, stop focusing on the big companies. Here's a question for you all. Name a popular brand of fizzy drink. Stick it in the comments. Name some a fizzy drink that comes to mind when I ask you to name that. So we've got some Coke, we've got Pepsi. I always get an Iron Brew come up here as well. So we've got a few more coming through. So it's always the same brands that come up when I ask this question, and obviously I'm asking it for a reason to prompt that. All got Lilt in there. Haven't had Lilt before, but normally the same big brands come up. But did you know that only 1% of employers employ more than 100 people? So when you guys are putting in the comments, Pepsi, Coca-Cola, you're only limiting your thinking to probably 1% of the employers out there. But there's actually 99% of employers, smaller employers, that still pay good money. But we always think about big brands. So there's all that competition, and we're going all after the same big brands that we've all heard of. Whereas there could be, instead of 100 applicants for a job at Coca-Cola, I'm just using energy drinks as an example, but 100 companies applications for one company, whereas a smaller company might be only getting 30. So it's a much smaller pool of people that you're competing against. When you're coming up with these ideas, research them. There's only so much detail I can go into on this masterclass this evening, but research those companies, find out a bit more about them. The smaller the better, but obviously there's big companies that you'll be able to find a lot out online as well. In terms of what is a suitable job, what one should you be spending your time on? A lot of people, like I say, will go for a job description, notice they don't match some of the criteria and move on. No, that is not the approach. If you match 70% of the job description, you are a good enough match to be focusing on that career change. So if you've got some jobs come up and you know that there's probably only maybe 3 out of 10 things on there that you can't do, that's fine. Go for those jobs. Don't rule yourself out. That is enough transferable skills to successfully secure that job. So don't let job descriptions put you off. And what I want you to be doing is making a list. I want you to come up with 15 target companies using, you might already have some companies you want to target. If you've got none right now, use this approach. Start getting a list together of companies you want to work for, dream companies that you want to work for. If you need a bit more of a push, if you're still a little bit, a lot of retail managers are very analytical and they want a bit more to put meat on the bone and to review things in a bit more detail, message people that are doing the jobs at these companies and find them on LinkedIn and message them. Ask them if you could pick their brains a little bit about what it's like doing the role. So if you want to define and put a bit more clarity on it, go speak to people. But let's keep it simple. Use this approach. Come up with 15 target companies. You might already know some already because it's probably companies you've always wanted to work for. You might have seen some logos on the people I've helped people into previously and gone, I'd love to work there, and added that onto there. So 15 target companies, that's the first step. So who's jumped onto job search websites and already started doing that? I've seen people saying they're going to do it later. Good, you're staying on point. That's a quiz to make sure you're going to continue watching, but jump on job search websites later. So how are we going to turn people at these companies into people that are going to potentially refer you into their jobs? So I've just taken an example of a job that I saw putting together one of my emails the other week. So there was a senior talent and leadership manager. So bear in mind, this is just an example. This is just walking you through how you can do this. Insert whatever job title you come up with, whatever jobs you want to do, just insert that when I talk through this example, just walk yourself through an example of the type of job you want to go for. And people on this call might not want to be a senior talent and leadership manager, but this was one. And just to put a bit of context, especially for those in other parts of the world, this was a senior talent and leadership manager at a large charity here in the UK. It was paying 60 grand a year, again, and it was a remote hybrid role, which again is very popular. So I just took one that would be a very common job on a job search website here in the UK that would be quite popular with retail managers that I work with personally. So this is where you're going to be looking for the closest person to that role. So you might not know anyone at this charity or whatever job it is that you've found. Now, the first thing I'd say is whenever it comes to speaking to people that we don't know, networking, it's always a dirty word. I hated networking in retail. I hated going to networking events. It always made me feel awkward, and it wasn't something I really enjoyed doing. But let me tell you this. Networking is just asking for directions. If you are in a new town, new place, and you are lost, you ask people, you ask people in the street, you go up to them and say, I'm looking for here, can you help me? And do these people just ignore you? Now, I've not come across it, but I'm sure there's probably some towns that are not friendly. But in general, people will help you, won't they? I've been helped, loads of times when I'm lost looking for things. And people help you. And that's exactly what networking is. People on LinkedIn, because they want to network. You guys are on this call, one way or the other, we've connected, whether you started following me or we've connected or have connected with you. You are messaging me in the chat. We're on LinkedIn, on a social network, on a professional network. We're here to talk to each other. We're here to network. So you should never feel awkward about speaking to people and reaching out to people in the first place. But secondly, we're just asking for directions, similar to asking for someone for travel directions. We're just asking for directions about our career. We're reaching out to people to get advice. So with this example here, I don't know how big it is, especially if you're watching it on your mobile, in terms of what I've done here. So I have literally decided that I've taken this example, the senior talent and leadership manager. And if we want to potentially secure a referral or stand out from the crowd. So let's pretend that this vacancy's had 100 applicants, 100 people apply for this vacancy. How are you going to stand out from the crowd? Well, ultimately, the only person that's probably going to give you an upper hand is a hiring manager for that job. So we're going to find the hiring manager or find someone as close to the hiring manager as we can possibly find. And we're going to find that person on LinkedIn. So literally all I've done in the image to the right is I have typed in the word talent because I wasn't sure who could be the kind of manager for this role. I typed in talent into LinkedIn. I filtered it down to people, and I filtered it to people working at this particular charity. So instantly it came up with all the people with talent in their job description. Depending on organization, you might want to be a bit more specific, but on this case, it's that it gave me, I probably can't see on there, but it gave me a decent number that I could sift through them myself. And I found on here, head of HR business partnering and talent acquisition. So that gave me a good indication that this person's the head of, because that senior talent leadership manager is quite a senior role. It gave me the impression that head of role was probably the person managing that. Now, it can be a lot easier for more specific roles. So if you wanted to be an operations manager for another company, the chances are, maybe a senior operations manager. If you're looking at this job here, if there was a talent and leadership manager, the senior talent leadership manager is the manager for that role. So I want you to find them on LinkedIn. And it's not that hard to do. Once you just start playing around with a few words, you normally find them. I use this approach for like anything now. If I ever want to complain about anything, I use this approach to find the person I want to complain to, because you can literally find anyone on LinkedIn. So what I want you to do is you've got your 15 target companies, and I want you to start finding people that are as close as you can figure out as the hiring manager for those jobs at those companies you want to work at. So what do you say to them? So you found that person, as I showed in that example there. What do you actually say to them? You don't know this person. Now, I've given you an example here on the right of something you could actually specifically say to this individual. But let me say something first. You're not looking to turn this person into your best friend. You're not messaging this person to kind of kiss ass and just be a bit sleazy. This is all about just putting a face to the name. So again, some of you might already be jumped to reading the email itself, but let me let me just tell you the main concept we're trying to get across here. This is just to stand out from all the faceless applications. It's about putting yourself on their radar. It's about putting a face to the name. There's 100 people doing what all you guys have been doing previously. It's just applying online, not doing anything above and beyond that. But there's some people, those 7 out of 100 people, doing things slightly different. They're just putting themselves slightly more out there. They might be sending a message to the hiring manager. They could be just having more conversations with people within the business. They are putting themselves slightly above the other 100 people, and it's going to give them a more chance of being interviewed. Let me know in the comments, guys. What do you think about that? Can you see now how you can just do something slightly more than the crowd that's going to elevate you into better ratios of chances of securing interviews and job offers just by being a bit different, just by standing out and putting a bit more work into it, being a bit more, putting a face to name, being a bit more person-centered. So this was a perfect example when I was using this one and putting it together for tonight's masterclass. One of my biggest tips and one of the things that helps the most is when you do that filter. So going back to the previous slide, when I put this filter together and I filtered it to the company I was looking for, you can also filter past companies. And what I did in this case is I filtered to past companies and I filtered them to previous retail industries. Previous retail companies. So now I had the filter for the company I wanted to work at, looking for people that used to work in retail. So, for those in the UK, it'd be, I put like Sainsbury's, Tesco's, Asda. In the US, it might be places like Walmart. And fortunately, this one job I was looking at, that hiring manager for that job I was looking at actually used to work for a retailer in the UK. So now it gives me a real personalized angle. So now it's even less weird about reaching out to this person. So I'll read it through for those that it might be a bit too small to read. So literally what you could message this individual is, "Hi, Alex, I noticed your successful career transition from retail to not-for-profit because I already identified that they used to work in retail. And I applied for the Senior Talent and Leadership Manager vacancy at Macmillan Cancer Support. I'm reaching out to see if you could provide any insight into the role, please." So again, this is starting to understand, what is this the hiring manager looking for? When we talk about those 3 or 4 things that the hiring manager is looking for in a candidate, let's see if we can have a conversation with them to find out a little bit more about the role, what type of person they're looking for, to give us that unfair advantage that all those faceless applications haven't got. Your experiences in a similar field would be incredibly valuable, and I'd greatly appreciate any assistance you can offer. If you're too busy to help them personally, I'd greatly appreciate the opportunity to connect with anyone that can provide further insight to the role. So you might have got it wrong. You might have reached out to the wrong person that isn't the hiring manager. So you're kind of saying, can you put me in touch with the person that would be the right person to speak to? So again, it's just an example. There's tons of other ways that you could put this, but it's not, let me know in the comments. It's a nice laid back approach. The great thing is, on this call, we're all retail managers, and we are, once you've worked in retail, you are you're part of a group, aren't you? Retail never really leaves you. So the great thing is, when you find a retail angle, this person's more likely to reply because they feel like, actually, this person is looking to do something I've done. They used to work in retail. I can understand why they're reaching out to me. I want to help this person. Maybe they went through the same challenges that you've been going through, trying to change careers when they went and changed careers from retail into not-for-profit. So what I want you to do is, you've got 15 target companies, and I want you to attempt to reach out to 10 people at those target companies, the people you think are closest to the hiring manager. Because what you might do is you might send this message to the hiring manager and they don't reply, the person you best think it is. So let's find the next best person, maybe someone doing the role. Maybe they can then put you into the hiring manager. But you can't just reach out to one person and go, well, it didn't work. I want you to reach out to 10 people each of those target companies you've got on your list. You do need to play the numbers game, because some people aren't active on LinkedIn. Some people don't, they see your message and don't get back to you. So you can't just reach out to one person and expect results here. You do have to reach out to more people. And this is how you can get access to senior vacancies, because once you have, if let's say you really wanted to work for this not-for-profit, and you reached out to them and maybe you weren't successful, you've started that open line of communication. They might consider you for future vacancies. They might invite you to be interviewed. They might talent bank your application. You might have a conversation with them and they let you know that actually there's a more suitable. The amount of times I've had previous clients have a conversation with an employer and they completely land a completely different role that they never had any intention of securing just by having that conversation. So here's a perfect example of one of my clients that used this approach. But the reason why I share this one is that they probably had the same kind of doubts that you guys might be having right now with this approach, because this is new to you. Let me know in the comments who's done this before, who's attempted this, who is this brand new? Is this brand new to any of you? So Martin used this system to land a dream job in HR, which is, again, quite a common job role that people want to change retail into. And this was Monday to Friday without taking a pay cut as well. And there was one point in working together with Martin where he said things like, I don't have the qualifications. You need certain qualifications to work in HR. I've never done just HR. I've only, I've done bits of HR as part of my retail job. And he'd reached out to a few people and he hadn't had much luck. And some people said that maybe it wasn't possible for him to change careers into retail. But we're only talking low numbers. He'd only reached out to a few people. And I said to keep at it. I said, you need to keep, you reach out to 10 people, reach out to another 40 people. And once you'd had quality conversations, one of those people that he spoke to actually knew of a vacancy coming up at their company. And as you can see from a message that he sent me on LinkedIn, this was after he secured that job because he'd been referred into it. And obviously, as a result, stood out from the crowd. And yeah, really busy, a lot easier than retail. And in his words, saved him from the horror. And how many of on this call want to be saved from the horror? How many of you actually, you might not think escaping retail is possible, but use this approach. I'm laying it out to you in terms of what you have to specifically do. That is what will save you from the horror and help you change careers. So you might be thinking, right, I've reached out to all these people. What if I don't get a referral? Because it happens. You might reach out to people and they might not refer you. So that is what Secret 3 is all about. How can you prompt a referral? How can you make just a general conversation prompt into actually a job offer? Or how do you stand out from the crowd? You might be getting referred, but how do you stand out from those other 7 people? And that's when your retail value proposition comes into play. This is I think of it as a complete upgrade on the CV. The CV's outdated. CV's in the past. Forget about your CV. Forget about your resume. Forget about your cover letter. It's time that you started doing something completely different. And I'm going to walk you through how you create a high value retail value proposition that makes you irresistible to non-traditional industries by highlighting your transferable skills. So I've already mentioned what it's like trying to explain to family and friends what it's like working in retail. And I've obviously mentioned that your CV doesn't do a good job of that. And what you want to be doing is you're having conversations with people within these companies. You might have not got to the hiring manager. Maybe you're speaking to people doing the job that you want in this company, or maybe you did have a conversation with the hiring manager. And you want to be asking them, what is it you're looking for an ideal candidate? What are some of the challenges that your company's facing right now? What are some of the challenges your team's facing? What are some of the things you're looking for this role to achieve? What are the key KPIs? Having those conversations is going to give you an unfair advantage. And once you get people onto telephone calls and having real good conversations with people, just by finding out about the jobs, again, I imagine a lot of you have spoke to recruiters before about jobs that you're applying for. You're going to be finding out information about the challenges that that these companies are facing. And what the retail value proposition is all about is how can you found out all this information, how can you show you would be the best person for that role? How would you found out their challenges? How are you going to be the solution to those challenges? How have you helped with similar challenges in a retail capacity? Because if they're saying, yeah, we've got a challenge with staff turnover at the moment, well, then instantly you can think about how you've improved staff turnover in your store, as an example. But ultimately, a CV is a very bad way of getting across your actual value. And a retail value proposition is, how can you show the other industry, the hiring manager, why you're worth, say, as an example, 60K a year? We're going to put that into a resource that shows why you deserve that 60K. If you want 60K a year, you've got to display 60K worth of value. You've got to make it worth their while. And that's how you're going to take that knowledge you've gained by having conversations within the company in the first step, to then build out something that's going to want, actually have them begging to offer you a job. So what does this look like? This might be the first time you've ever come across it. Think of it as your own personal portfolio. It could be 1 to 7 slides, and it's targeted at a specific company. So going back to that not-for-profit company I was speaking about earlier, you could be targeted to Macmillan Cancer Support, and it'll be specifically written for them. And what that shows is you're motivated to work for them. You've gone to this effort. If you really want to work, if you really want to change careers, you really want to work for another company outside of retail, and you want to secure the salary that maybe you're on or more, you're going to have to show you're motivated. You're going to have to put the work in. Nothing good comes easy. And that's why you've got to put the work in, and to put into retail value proposition tailored to that specific company. Because if you really want to work for them, you will put the effort in. And trust me, the time you're wasting applying online, the time you'll save by not doing that anymore, will not take you long to start putting together portfolios that you'll tweak for specific companies. And ultimately, you're going to be getting across of who you are, why you're a perfect fit in their company, and how you can solve some of their challenges that you've actually found out and had insight information having conversations with people within that company. Think of it like a speculative approach. So you might have come across sending a speculative email to someone. Maybe they haven't got vacancies, or there's a vacancy and you're sending kind of an actual separate approach and a separate email. Think of it a bit more like that, but with a lot more meat on the bones. And probably thinking back to when I worked in retail, I was a victim of this myself. So when I was a store manager, I had a team leader vacancy in my store, and I had people coming for interviews in my store, and we had people that had worked in other retailers, but one person came and they opened up a ring binder, and they'd done a complete analysis on my store. They'd done a customer journey, they'd walked around, they'd put together what things they believe they could be that could be improved being a customer of my store and living locally. And I was just wowed. I just couldn't get them out of my head. I don't even remember what they said in their interview. This ring binder, the effort they'd gone to, was shown more than any of the other candidates. I gave them the job. You've got to think of it this way. Now, that was a really simple approach, but someone did it to me and I didn't even realize it. And you might be thinking now, how many people have done that to you in the past? It's something that works. So I've put a few examples of what it is, but this is a retail value proposition is the single-handedly best approach to help you stand out from the crowd. It is something that no one's doing. If 100 people are applying for a job and you are the only person sending a retail value proposition to back up your application, you're going to stand out from the crowd. You're going to be maybe one of those 7, or you could even be one of those 7 that's going to get the job, because none of the other 7 have done that either. They might be networking, but none of them are sending this real detail. So you're going to at least secure an interview by doing something like this. So it increases your success rate. Other people are just not doing it. And it helps you bypass all the software that helps prevent your CV and application getting read in the first place. Because if you've applied for a job and it could be just sat there, but then you're then sending your retail value proposition to back up your application, maybe sending it separately to the hiring manager, it gets to the hiring manager. They're probably going to bring your application to the front of the pile, going, wow, I've just received this fantastic tailored document that's specific to my company. So let me know in the comments, guys, what's your thoughts on a retail value proposition? Who's come across this approach before? Who's buzzing with ideas going, it's not that much different from a speculative approach, but can you see how it helps you stand out from the crowd? And if it's coming from someone referring you, so if you're sending it directly to the hiring manager, it's just going to compound it. You've got someone that can put a face to the name that's physically spoke to you, and now you're giving them a ton of value that is tailored to their company. Where can you get information to build your retail value proposition? So ideally, speaking with people within the company and having those conversations. One that I really like is going to customer feedback sites. So if you're struggling to have a real good conversation and get some insight within a company, go into customer feedback sites. I was putting one together for an energy company here in the UK last month, and you go and it was for a customer experience manager, and we were going through the customer feedback on their website, and it gave us so much content of what to put together on a retail value proposition based on real live customer feedback. But another simple one is about reviewing the job description. The job description reveals a lot of information about the challenges. So if you really can't get someone, a real good conversation with someone going to find out inside knowledge, the job description does still point to challenges the company's facing. And if they're looking for someone to lead a team of 200 people to deliver XYZ, then talk about how your retail experience relates to that as well. So what I want you to do, 15 target companies, 10 conversations with people at each of those 15 companies. And then when you start having productive conversations, when maybe you've had a real good conversation with someone at those companies, I want you to build a retail value proposition. And I don't want you to send it to all 15 of those companies. That's a lot of time. You don't have time to do that. But once you've had a real good conversation, when you've had some good insight around one of your specific companies, that's when you move on to building a retail value proposition. So in summary then, if we think back to the example of 100 people applying for a job, we know 93 people are applying online. Maybe what a lot of you on this call have been doing previously. 93 faceless applications that are going to get that "sorry you've been unsuccessful" templated email response. But what if you were the only one of those 100 people sending a retail value proposition, let alone being someone that might have had some real valuable conversations with people within that company? Do you think you'd stand out? 100 applicants, you're the one sending this retail value proposition, you're the one having real conversations where they can put a face to the name. Who disagrees that you would not stand out from the crowd if you're using that approach, where you would actually more likely secure an interview and at least get in front of a hiring manager for an interview? And like I say, I've gone through the numbers as we've gone across it, but these are some of the average numbers that I've seen using this approach. So if we've got 15 target companies, 150 conversations with people, you're not going to, so let me give you a word of caution. When you reach out to 10 people at each of those companies, as I've said already, not everyone's going to reply to you. People are busy. It's not because they don't like you. It might be because they're not active on LinkedIn. They see your message and don't get back to you. You're probably only going to get maybe 30 people of those 150 people get back to you. But you want to get those 30 people onto a call with you to find out more about the role, to find out more about the company. Just be interested in them. And in terms of ratios I see on average, if you do have 30 conversations, you'll likely get potentially 10 referrals, or at least 10 people that can pitch you into potential jobs and make you aware of jobs that are coming up. And to be fair, once you get your foot through the door from a referral point of view, you're pretty much going to guarantee yourself an interview. So normally I see ratios, not all referrals end up gaining an interview, but on average, 10 referrals can lead to 6 interviews. And from a job offer point of view, probably 50% of those interviews will lead to a job offer. So you've got to put the work in. You've got to have conversations. You've got to reach out. Some of this stuff is probably making you feel uncomfortable, but trust me, you can apply for hundreds and thousands of jobs online. You're not going to get the results that you want. If you do want to land a dream career, if you want to work maybe Monday to Friday, 9 to 5, or you want to find that job satisfaction that retail's not giving you, you're not going to find it on a job search website. You do need to do something differently. And this is the approach that's going to work. It is going to work for you. And I've laid it out for you today. So let me ask you this question. Oh, too far ahead. Let me ask you this question. If you followed what I've shown you in Secret 1 and you identified target companies you want to work at, the ones that really excite you, the ones you'd love to work at, then you did what I showed you in Secret 2 and you started reaching out to people, you start building relationships with people that could be the hiring manager or close to the hiring manager that would influence your chances of securing a referral. And then you use Secret Free and went above and beyond to show your transferable value to the people using that, to those people using your retail value proposition. Now can you see how you can be successful? Now can you see how you can stand out from the crowd? So how many of you are excited about what we've spoken about? How many of you are buzzing with ideas? How many of you have already thinking, generating career ideas? How many are you thinking about, right, I'm going to give it a go and start reaching out to hiring managers? Actually, I might start putting together a retail value proposition and do something different. Who's excited about what we've covered? What is this new to any of you? Let me know in the comments. Let me know your thoughts. So at the beginning of the presentation, I spoke through that I'm going to talk a little bit about how I can help you further. So hopefully with everything you've heard today, you'll be happy for me to walk through for the next 10 minutes how you can implement this in more detail. So let me, I guess, walk you through. There's only so much I can cover in a masterclass. As you can probably tell, I get excited about this stuff. I know that I can help you guys on the call. All of you can escape retail, and that's why I put these masterclasses on. I've given you a real step-by-step process of what you can do to start securing jobs. But there's only so much I can cover. I could go on all night. I could go on till 1 o'clock in the morning here in the UK, going on about all the different things you can do. So if you need more support, I'm going to walk you through how I can help you further to overcome some of the barriers you will still come up against. And that is through my Retailscape Academy. So some of you may have come across this before, but this is how I help people. So if you know nothing about me, this is the main way that I help people escape retail. This is if you feel that you need more support, this is how I can help you. So I'm just going to run through briefly how I can help you. Who is the Retailscape Academy for? It's for people that don't know what they want to do instead of retail. So I've already explained to you guys some ways that you can generate career ideas. But that's just one way. There's loads of different ways that you can generate career ideas. And that sometimes is something that stops people from progressing in terms of their retail escape, because they have no idea what they want to do. And they might even struggle using that Indeed approach. So this is for people that still feel they're probably going to struggle with generating ideas. But it's also for people that have tried to escape retail, tried to apply jobs and heard nothing back. It's probably for people that have gone, you've listened to what I've walked through today and you're still like, I'm still not sure what I'd say to people. I'm not 100% sure what I'd put on my retail value proposition. You made it sound really easy in terms of finding people, but I just can't, I'm not sure I'm really confident of finding the right people. What if I message the wrong people? So the retail value proposition is for those of you that might have still a few doubts in terms of generating ideas and putting into practice what I've shown you this evening. I've given you a good outline, but there's so much more to it. So in terms of what's included in my Retailscape Academy, is a course that you'll find on my website, is my career idea generator. This is kind of sectioned off. This is going to help you generate ideas based on what you want. So this is going to help you get clear. So a big thing that people worry about is, what if I make the wrong mistake? What if I go into the wrong career? So what my career idea generator helps you do is get really clear on what you want, like really clear, helps you pull out those transferable skills. Because again, when you've worked in retail for so long, it's hard to remember the skills that we've developed in our time in retail and what value we have to offer. So I help in my career idea generator pull out those skills, pull out what you want, so you're exactly clear on what is success to you. Then I take you through a number of techniques that help you generate career ideas based on what you want and the skills you have to offer. And because they're based on the skills you have to offer, they're realistic ideas. You're going to secure them because they're based on you and the skills you have. And my career idea generator will help you generate 30 plus ideas, and then I help you narrow them down. That then takes you on to, I guess, the next part of the process that I walked you through today, is in terms of target companies and people that are recruiting for that idea that you've generated. Another thing we've not touched on is, although your CV isn't that important in the career change process, you still need to update your CV and resume. It still needs to be keyword optimized. in some applications, you still need to submit a cover letter. So my Retailscape Academy still touches on and covers all the marketing. How can you turn your CV and resume into a CV and resume that doesn't say retail manager? It says whatever it is that you want to do, it is tailored to that job. It doesn't reek of retail manager. It reeks of the industry that you want to go in, using their buzzwords, using their keywords in a language that the hiring manager wants to hear. And that's what I walk you through as part of the academy, as part of my self-marketing mastery. And I give you all the templates to make it really easy that you can drag and drop in the information you need, how you can make your achievements really stand out and wow the employer. On top of that, you also get my job offer blueprint, which is also a course that's on my website as well, which pretty much is the process I've walked you through this evening in more detail. So my job offer blueprint gives you all the scripts. So I've shown you an example of what you can say to a hiring manager, but you get the scripts. You get a template of retail value proposition of what you can use. You have examples of retail value propositions that I put my one in there that I used when I escaped retail, and I put in there examples that others have used as well. And then I also put through walkthrough guides in much more detail on how you can go on LinkedIn, find the hiring managers, how you specifically get them to reply to you, because there's a lot more science around. You could just message people, but how do you get them to actually physically reply to you in the first place? How do you follow up with people? What are all the different things you say? What are some of the things you can find with angles to get people to reply to you? So my job offer blueprint goes into much more detail on top of what we've covered this evening. And then again, we've not really touched on interviews. If you've worked in retail, you may have not been for an interview externally for a very long time. And I walk you through my tried and tested process to make interviewing completely effortless. So you might be someone that's quite nervous going to interviews. I show you how you prepare that, although you might still feel a bit nervous, you're walking into that interview with everything you need. And it is so much easier than you think to prepare for an interview in another industry. I'm going to walk you through how you actually find out what the hiring manager is going to ask before you even go to the interview, and put together all the prep you need so you can actually ace your interview and secure that job offer once you've done all the work that helps you stand out from the crowd. Because there's no point doing all that work if then you get to the interview and you're not good enough to secure that job because you just don't pass that final hurdle having done all that work. On top of that, so on top of the resources taking you through the whole Retailscape process, my Retailscape Academy is, you get access to it for life and you get the updates. So I regularly updating the content. There's a lot going on about how AI can boost your success rates. That content's gone into my academy. It is a resource that you will be able to jump in the future. You might be on this call right now saying, Tom, I want to escape retail, but now is not the right time. And you might not just have enough time to work on your career change right now. You get lifetime access. So you can start working on it now at the pace that suits you because you've got lifetime access. This isn't just something that a subscription or something that you only get access to for a certain period of time. I'm always updating the content because I'm telling you now, use a retail value proposition. The job market's outdated. In 2 years' time, it could have changed again. Maybe you want to come back to looking at changing careers again. A lot of people pivot. So you get lifetime access to this, and I'm constantly updating the data. I make everything easy for you. Scripts, templates, guides, step-by-step videos of walking you through how you do everything. So it's not, here's just a few things you go away and do. I walk you through how you do everything, and you get scripts, and I take the thinking out of it. Some very easy things to do when you work in retail is you're extremely busy, you don't have enough time in the day as it is, and you'll get distracted. And I make it really easy so you are not wasting any time and you can just focus on manageable chunks of the job search process. You also get access to my VRP community. So there's no point having access to a course if you can't get tailored support and access to people that may have been in the same situation you are, or actually just asking for help, asking for support. You can't really go on LinkedIn and ask people for help on your career change because you've got your other, you might have your employees on there or your colleagues. You don't really want to be asking career change questions in a public forum. So I've got a private Retailscape community where you can ask any questions, where you could be stuck on part of the course and you need some specific advice. I'm in that community. I can help you. And again, to remove the procrastination, and I guess something that I come across with retail managers in terms of perfectionism, is I lay it all out for you in a step-by-step workbook as well. So literally, you'll know what you should be doing and when. So a huge amount of value you get as part of the academy. And then to add on to it even more. So I want you guys that invest in the academy to successfully change careers, because that means that, I've got a ton more testimonials of people I've physically helped, and you guys have escaped retail. And I've put together something I wished I had when I was looking to change careers. When I'm going back to the start of this call, which might seem a long time ago, I went through 6 months of painful trial and error. I have put everything together that I wish I had then. So I didn't go through those 6 months. So I didn't waste time. So I didn't waste money. It's all put into one place. And some additional things that would have helped me back then is we all watch videos on how to do things. We all take courses. How many of you have taken courses? And then you get stuck because it's just a course. It's just a one-way dimensional course. What you get as part of the academy is you can submit your CV or resume, your retail value proposition. You can record your interview prep, and I will critique it. I will walk you through how you can make your CV and resume better. I'll walk you through how you can improve your retail value proposition. I'll walk you through how you can improve your interview skills. So it's not just a simple course. It is actually a two-way communication with a retailscape specialist that will give you tailored support and communication on how you can make it better. On top of that, you also get a private coaching session with me as well, which I normally recommend using when you feel stuck and you're like, I really need help with this. And we jump on a call together and I help work through it. And like I say, I lay everything out for you in a 12-week plan. So you can, if you're on this call right now and you think maybe that you can't escape retail, you can do it in 12 weeks. You could do it in less than 12 weeks. People do it in 4 weeks. I've had people do it in 2 weeks. But I lay it out in more a 12-week plan because that's probably a more realistic time scale. I put it out for you. You could be escaping retail in 12 weeks, landing those jobs you want at those companies that you want, doing the jobs that you want, maybe giving you that Monday to Friday to enjoy your time. It's laid out for you in a roadmap that if you follow, you will escape retail. So again, huge amount of value you get as part of the academy, but let me talk you through some people that signed up previously for this. So I've got a few testimonials. I'll send you a link on how you can check out the academy in more detail, but people are messaging me every single week where they've invested in the academy and they've escaped retail. So this was one, I received this on the 23rd of June. So someone that signed up previously, project management role, Monday to Friday, pay rise, home working, massive relief from the stress and almost impossible expectations we're now subjected to in retail. And they started in a couple of weeks following this email. If that is possible for you. And you probably already know, that's a huge amount of value, but that's value. That's what you're going to get from investing in it. But you won't be paying all that value. You won't be paying £1,914. You could get that result from me. You could sign up for my career coaching, but you don't need to sign up. You don't need a career coach. Retail managers are capable enough to put this into practice themselves. You don't need to be paying for a career coach. And you won't be paying £2,000 for this kind of result. But I can guarantee that if you had a chance to pay $2,000 and actually change your circumstances, I bet you probably would, but you won't be. So the Retail Escape Academy, if you went to my website right now, it's £620 just to buy it normally. But you guys have invested your time this evening with me. You have been on this masterclass. You guys clearly want to take action. You put some fantastic comments in terms of what you're going to be doing differently. To repay the fact that you spent that time. I want people signing up for this that are actually going to take action. I don't want you signing up doing nothing, because that's another person that signed up and hasn't done anything with it. And someone like I said, well, they didn't escape retail by taking my course. I don't want people, if you're not going to go and do something, I don't want you signing up. But you guys have been on here live in your evening when you don't have that much time as a retail manager as it is. So as a result for that, I want to make this a no-brainer for you. I want you to continue that action. I want you to go away from this masterclass this evening and go, if that was really the content you covered was great, Tom, and now you've just outlined all the extra stuff that you can help me with to remove all me, getting in my own way, I want to make it a no-brainer for you. So you won't be paying £2,000. If you use the offer code 20 on the link that's published on this slide, today's price is £496. And I can promise you, some of you may have looked into career change processes before. That is a fraction of the price of similar career change products and coaching out there right now. You'd probably pay that money for a couple of coaching sessions with a career coach. This is a whole retail escape process laid out for you, all of that value, and you can secure it today for an investment of £496. So you could go to retailescapeproject.com/replay in order to sign up for the academy if you want to get involved today. In terms of some additional guarantees, so I don't want you sign up for something and not getting a result. And probably a big thing is that you might be toying with is, what if I don't get a result? And I want to make it a no-brainer. If you go out there and you take action, you do the tasks that I asked you to do as part of the academy, and you don't see results in the first 30 days, have your money back. I don't want people signing up and not doing anything with it. So have your money back. I'm confident that you will get results, and you won't. A second you're in the academy, you'll know that you've got way more value for money than what you've actually paid. And you are going to, if you put it into practice, you are going to change careers, and you'll see that it's all laid out for you. But I don't want you fretting over, am I going to get a result? Jump into the academy, take action. You will change careers. And if you don't, have your money back. And to make it, we live in very difficult times, and maybe £496 is an investment that you can't make right now. So I also have payment plans available as well that that discount also applies to as well, where it breaks it down into 2 monthly payments and 6 monthly payments as well. So you can get started with a career change process for similar price of gym membership, especially in the UK at least. But I bet you the result of actually signing up for a gym membership and doing nothing with it and actually having a career change process that you get access to for life is probably going to be a better return in investment for you. I only open this up on a monthly basis. So there's only 20 spaces available because there's a lot of support that comes from me is when you sign up for it. Yeah, there's a lot of support I help you with in terms of your CVs, in terms of your retail value proposition. I don't have time to bring on 400 people and help 400 people all at once. I'd love to, but I'm only one person. So there's only 20 spaces. We've had about 100 people live this evening. There's about 400 people live that are going to receive the replay as well. So you do need to act fast. If you do want to secure a place on this intake of the Retail Escape Academy, then you do need to act fast. Doors close on Sunday, whatever sooner. So if there's places left, then the doors will close on Sunday at this special discounted offer. Then it goes back up to £620. So let me know in the comments. A lot of you have stuck with me to the end. Who's going to be a retail escapee? Who's going to go away, put into practice what they've learned today, and actually secure that career change that they've been desiring, that you've wanted and been trying to seek for maybe years? Who's going to be a retail escapee? Who's going to make it a retail escape for them this year? Let me know in the comments. So you've got 3 choices heading off from the masterclass this evening. You could spend another year in retail. You can follow the approach that I approached and try and do it on your own. DIY fix. I went through 6 months of painful trial and error, but it is possible because I'm sitting here and I made it work. Or who wants to fast track their retail escape by signing up for the Retail Escape Academy? So that brings us to the end. So it's time for a Q&A. So we've still got quite a lot of people on the call. Obviously, if you want to sign up, make sure you go and secure your space. In terms of the giveaways, make sure that you, if you have been watching this through LinkedIn, you go to retailescapeproject.com/giveaway if you want to be in a chance to win one of the giveaways, which is a mixture of my courses and some critiques that I offer as well that you would see on the page. So make sure you've registered via that with a chance to win on the giveaway. But this is your chance to ask me any questions. So we're live for another 15 minutes or so. So let me know in the comments. I'm going to probably check through some of the comments that we've had so far this evening. If you haven't got any questions, let me know in the comments how you found this evening. How did you find the masterclass? Was it, did you learn anything new? So there's already some fantastic comments in here in terms of how people have found it, but let me know. If you've got no questions, let me know how you found this evening. So everyone's liking the new ideas. A lot of people are saying about security as well. So probably an important thing around security is that obviously, like I say, it's easier to find a job when you've got one. You come across to other employers very desperate if you have lost your job because actually you're coming from a place of need instead of a place of want. So I'd always recommend that. A lot of people don't think they're going to get made redundant in retail, but it does happen. And do you want to leave it to the point where you're up against it to do something about your career situation, your career change, or to the point, what I see a lot is people get so ill that they have to leave because they feel so sick working in retail. Yeah, this is your chance to do something about it when you're in a place of want and not in a place of need. Christopher missed a few of the secrets, so do make sure you head to retailscape project.com/giveaway and you'll receive a replay. So if you did miss the first few secrets, you can catch up on that, Christopher. So do make sure you do that so you get that as well. Any more questions? I've probably answered a lot of questions as we've gone along this evening. Just filtering through the comments. We've had loads of comments, so thank you all for the engagement this evening. Right, we're going to wrap up. So we haven't got that many more questions. Obviously, if you're watching this on LinkedIn, you can put in any questions. I will answer them live later this evening as well. So thank you everyone for joining me this evening for the Retailscape Masterclass. I hope I've given you some fantastic ideas in terms of going away and making that career change. And please do, if you do escape retail as a result of joining this masterclass, do reach out. I'd love to hear all the comments. I love to hear the success stories people have. So thank you for joining me this evening, everyone. I hope, wherever you are in the world right now. And hopefully I will speak to you soon. And hopefully I'll see some of you in the Retailscape Academy. So that's it for this evening. Take care.